It's the time for the Dreamcast's battle. We're having two different versions, hard disk and SD. Which one is the best? Let's find out. Hey, welcome back to the channel. It's just awesome that you're tuning in. So in today's video we are going to talk about the Dreamcast systems. I did separate reviews about them, so don't forget to check out the full reviews if you're interested in products. So what you're going to get is very simple. We're having two different versions. We're having the version with the hard drive built inside, and we're having the one with the SD card. So I'm going to do a little bit of a side-by-side comparison. What are you going to get and what is the best version to get if you're interested in a naughty Dreamcast. Alright, so here we have the Dream Shell edition. So that's basically what this is. So here inside we're having the little main board, including the hard drive. Most of the time when you're buying a Dreamcast like that, it's a full complete kit, so you don't need to assemble it yourself. The only thing you need to do is getting yourself some games, for example. With the Dream Shell there are quite some different versions out there. We also have this little dongle that you can basically stick into your serial port, and then you can load it with an SD card, some extra games. Dream Shell, it got a very nice interface, but it works pretty good. Depends of course how you're going to use the games. There are some, let's say, pre-built kits and that comes with some games, but they left out the audio files, so that is a little bit of a bummer if you ask me. Did a full review about this thing, so if you're interested, don't forget to check it out. When it comes to the, let's say, Dream Shell hard disk edition, there are some little things you really need to know. I already mentioned in the main review, but I'm going to do it again here. To begin with, I don't have anything against a hard drive, but the problem with this thing is that it is working on an EDA drive. If people have no clue what is EDA, EDA is a very old, let's say, connection type, and they did use it in the 90s, for example, or late 90s. Nowadays we all have SATA, and it's of course way faster, but then we have the problem if you want to assemble an SSD, a solid state drive, then we're having the problem that we can't upgrade it very easily like plug and play. For example, with an SD card. So then we are limited to the things we can do. My buddy, Ralph, did try it out with a little converter from EDA to SATA. I don't know what kind of converter he used, but it didn't work to, let's say, replace the little hard drive. So it looks that we are stuck with this old EDA. I can find a 250 gigabytes, but it is not enough to, let's say, add a lot of games to the system itself. So again, it's not very convenient to use in many ways, and swapping games is not very easy. With the Dream Shell we can't add games through, let's say, the SD slot that has this little converter with an SD to the serial port. So there are some little minor options, so that is a very good thing. Navigating is a little bit tricky, and but I must say it looks very nice. That brings us to this version. So there are a couple of versions out there, and maybe when you're seeing this video there are quite some different versions out there. So the Gdemu is one of the many versions if it comes to an SD function. So basically what you're going to get is an SD card. There's nothing in it, it's just an empty shell, but it's more like giving you an idea and an example. You're going to get yourself an SD card where you can stick in your Gdemu. And what I want to say, there are quite some different versions out there. You're having Chinese versions, you're having the real deal, and we are different brands out there. So basically what you're going to do is grab your games, put them on here, put it in your Dreamcast, not behind the, the table I'm using, and that's it. And you're able to play all your games very easily. The menu is a little bit different, but okay, let's talk about that. The Gdemu is a very easy modification. It's basically plug and play. You of course need to remove your GD drive like all the other modifications that I'm showing you here. But what you're going to get is a very easy way to play Sega Dreamcast games. With an SD card you can basically plug and play. You can load up your games and then you can change them out if needed. The capacity can be upgraded very easily, and the SD cards are very cheap nowadays. Maybe even cheaper when you're watching this video. Take in consideration there are quite some different PCB boards out there. There are quite some different Chinese versions, but so far I know there are no really bad ones. So if I'm wrong, leave it in the comments. The menu itself looks straightforward and it's very easy to use. Loading time can be a little bit different depending what kind of size and also what kind of SD card you're using. If you're using a large capacity and a very slow card, loading times take sometimes forever. When running up and you've added all of your games, they are very easy to use, and they're even including a lot of information because of the region, if it's compatible VGA, what kind of disk it is, the date, and even the version. But what is very convenient with the SD or with the hard disk edition? Very simple. You can play your games instant. The loading times are very short, or they're not even noticeable anymore. And that are the little things that is very cool. And you're still playing on your original Sega Dreamcast. So this is the complete side-by-side comparison with the two versions. I always wanted to do this video to show you what are the differences and what are the possibilities. Maybe in the future we are getting more and more methods to play the games on your original Sega Dreamcast, because nothing beats the real deal. Or real deal, you know what, say you're using original hardware. But what you're going to get with this, I don't like the hard disk if you need to upgrade it. It's also a very small hard drive. You're having 120 gigabytes and 250 gigabytes. They are very expensive, and the hard disk can be found, but they are very hard to find. And if you find one, they are very expensive. And if you look at the SD function, SD cards are everywhere to be found in different speed, different qualities, different prices and different sizes. So nowadays I think the Dream Shell, it's a fun idea, but it's old, it's obscure, and it is not really needed. And if you want to have an upgrade, I think the Gdemu, it doesn't even matter if you want to have a Chinese version or a fake version, whatsoever kind of brand, it's just super convenient. So let me know what do you think of this, what do you think of these systems, would you consider buying one, maybe I already own one, let me know in the comments, and see you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell. Yeah.